A lot happened in the time between the last garage video and this first build day. I found out that the concrete guys who poured my sidewalk and pony wall did everything crooked. All the cut lines on my sidewalk are out of square and out of parallel, some by over 2.5 inches. The pony wall slopes from left to right by more than a full inch. They blamed my string level for this. Maybe they should have brought their own? So the rocks you see around the edge are holding down various thicknesses of plywood shims that I put there to try to be building on a relatively even surface. Then, after dumping some 40 or so yards of sandy clay into the middle of the garage area, grading it by hand and tamping it down, I found some other concrete guys and they poured me my pad. After a lot of cleanup, that brings us to today, where I get to start building with my garage kit that I bought from Star Building Supplies. That was an adventure. There were a lot of things that went wrong with the package I got from Star, but this first one is really worth mentioning, as nothing I could have done would have prevented it. Just about every 2x4 stud they sent me was a different length. Here's my face as I realized I will have to cut every single 2x4. As I transition out of homeowner land and start dipping my toes into the contractor waters, one of the biggest lessons I'm learning is how little customer service you can usually expect from suppliers. What led to this issue with the 2x4s was that I had a 9-inch pony wall that extended above the slab, and I thought, hey, for 3 more inches, I could get an 8-foot overhead garage door, and that would be an added selling point for only about $100 more in material as far as the garage door is concerned. When I was looking at how I would do this, it was either, all right, get much longer 2x4s or get standard 8-foot 2x4s and just put an extra 2 top plates on. That gets me the 3 inches that I need to make up the 12 inches for the 9-inch pony wall, and then I would have room for an 8-foot door. But what happened was they apparently sent me whatever leftover scrap lumber they had from every different possible mill that they deal with. And you'll see as I start cutting these 2x4s, when I zoom in here, they're really different lengths, and they're all different lengths. I understand that usually when you are looking at an 8-foot 2x4, that maybe it comes out at 96.5 or 96 3/4, or maybe 97, or maybe 95 5/8, or just like some usual similar amount that you're dealing with, so that if you get 50 of them from the same pile, you can build a wall. And maybe that wall's a little bit taller, maybe that wall's a little bit shorter, but all the 2x4s that you pick out of that pile are the same length and you can just get to work. Not so with the material I got from Star. The next issue that I noticed on this first day was that they sent me 2x8s for headers, but not enough for the garage that I had planned. Enough for windows 3 inches less wide than the garage that I had planned. Now, this one is definitely as much on me as it is on them. If I had poured over every line of the bill of materials, I could have seen that there weren't enough 2x8s. So, yeah, I can own that. Pro tip, don't put your tools down and you won't lose them. At the same time, coming out of homeowner land, I'm definitely a bit spoiled in how much the big box store guys will handhold and keep you from making mistakes just like this one. Since there were really only 2 options here, either stop work and go buy more 2x8s or keep working and get slightly smaller windows later, I decided to keep going, as I really wanted to get 2 walls up by the end of the first day. Any carpenters in the comments can please let me know if they have never told a wall to just stay while they go and get their tools. From this point on, it's pretty straightforward. Just get back to work, do the job, get it done. I started with getting the header sandwich for my window made up and then laying out the rest of the lumber. Which reminds me of another mistake that was made that made things more difficult than they needed to be. For some crazy reason, the guys who poured my concrete pony wall decided to finish the top edge of the pony wall, which meant, at least in their mind, running a concrete edger along the entire length of the wall, leaving me with something rather more dome-shaped than flat. I didn't think it would be very wise to put a 2x4 bottom plate along the back half of a curved surface, so I ordered 2x6 bottom plates, which would let me get my concrete anchors in the middle of the pony wall instead of on the back third. But that meant my studs had to all be lifted off the slab to be nailed to the bottom plate, making everything more awkward and take longer. The final bit that really made this day drag on was just that I'd never really built anything like this before. I was constantly checking back on the plans that I had made and trying to come up with on-the-fly adjustment for things. The two-part wall construction made for easier lifting, but meant for a lot of ladder work at the end for the top plates. I'm editing this video in the evenings after working on the siding for the garage, and boy, thinking that this was a lot of ladder work? Yeah, not so much. We'll get to a lot of ladder work later. And the disconnected door made it so that I had to insert triples above the door after the wall was raised instead of before. At least at this point, I'm finally building something new instead of tearing out something old. Hopefully you'll come back for the next video in this series.